Imagine a world where artists didn't just paint or sculpt, they literally created new ways to see reality itself. Let's jump into the wild and lesser-known story of the Dada movement, the rebellious art revolution that flipped the early 20th century upside down. Picture Europe right after World War I, chaos, destruction, and deep disillusionment with traditional values. The war had left millions dead and many more physically and emotionally scarred, shaking the very foundations of society. People questioned the old systems, political, social, and cultural, that had led to such devastation. It was within this turbulent atmosphere that the seeds of Dada were sown. Amid this turmoil, a group of artists, poets, and performers said, "Enough with the old rules," and birthed Dada, a movement that was more about nonsense, absurdity, and anti-art than anything anyone had seen before. It was less about creating pretty pictures or honoring classical ideals, and more about shaking up the status quo and questioning everything. Key figures like Hugo Ball, Tristan, Tzara, and Marcel Duchamp led this charge, gathering in places like Zurich's Cabaret Voltaire, which became the epicenter of this artistic upheaval. Here, they performed wild, chaotic poetry readings filled with nonsensical sounds and spontaneous outbursts, deliberately defying conventional language and meaning. They created bizarre collages and assemblages that mocked the logic and reason they blamed for the war's horrors. And their performances were often confrontational, absurd, and unpredictable, designed to provoke and unsettle their audiences. But what exactly was Dada? It wasn't just a style, it was a full-on cultural rebellion. These artists embraced randomness, chance, and irrationality as tools to challenge not just what art meant, but what society itself meant. They rejected traditional aesthetics, harmony, and coherence in favor of spontaneity, chaos, and disruption. Marcel Duchamp famously took a urinal, signed it Armut, and called it a sculpture, shocking the art world and questioning if everyday objects could be art. This piece, titled Fountain, forced people to rethink the nature of art and the role of the artist, suggesting that context and concept might be just as important as craftsmanship. Dadaists used collage, photomontage, and performance to break down the boundaries between art and life, often mixing politics, satire, and humor. Their work seemed nonsensical at first, but it was a powerful critique of a society they felt had lost its way. They challenged nationalism, militarism, and the capitalist structures that they believed had brought humanity to the brink of disaster. The movement spread rapidly beyond Zurich to cities like Berlin, Paris, and New York, each adapting Dada's spirit in unique ways. In Berlin, for example, Dada was more politically charged and aggressive, with artists like Hannah Huch creating photomontages that cut up and reassembled images to expose the absurdities of Weimar society. Meanwhile, in Paris, Dada intersected with surrealism, another movement that sought to explore the unconscious mind and dreams. The impact? Dada shattered the idea that art needed to be beautiful or make sense. It paved the way for surrealism, pop art, and even modern conceptual art, influencing generations to come by proving that art could be anything, even chaos. It opened the door for artists to experiment with new materials, ideas, and forms, showing that the creative process could be as important as the final product. The movement's legacy can be seen in everything from the abstract expressionists to contemporary performance art, and its spirit of rebellion and questioning remains alive today. So next time you see something weird or confusing in art, ask yourself, is it just nonsense? Or is it a revolutionary act challenging everything we think art should be? Maybe, just maybe, you're witnessing the echoes of Dada, the movement that dared to say art doesn't have to make sense, it just has to make you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel.